What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So we had the Mortal Kombat reveal yesterday, and it was pretty awesome. It really was. There was a lot of cool stuff going on there. We're going to be going over quite a bit of it here, and then we're also going to talk a bit about the confusion right now going around about the Switch version, because I thought they would clarify at the event, and they did not. There's actually still a lot of stuff we don't know about, by the way, about this game, and it's coming out in a couple months. But they didn't clarify at all about the Switch version, and retailers seem confused about if it's coming out the same day as the other versions or if it's being pushed back a couple weeks, even a month. We'll go over why that confusion is happening right now and what we can figure out from it. And then we also have to take a look at how Nvidia, not necessarily Nintendo, Nvidia is actually remastering old Wii games for their Shield TV, because the results are pretty amazing and very impressive and could actually show some cool ways Nintendo themselves could even remaster these Wii games for the Switch with relative ease compared to what I guess they'd be doing before where they're rebuilding it. As always, guys, do these videos, hit the like button. It does help out. We're actually going to start today with Power Rangers, because believe it or not, there is a new Power Rangers game coming out. Now, how good is it going to be? Well, we're not really sure, although we saw a pretty brief trailer, as you're seeing here, and this is actually done by a mobile games developer, Enway, who did develop Power Rangers Legacy Wars, and this is called Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. It's $19.99, and it's out on all platforms: the Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and it looks like it's coming to the PC a bit later after these ones launch in April. And it looks like a straight up Power Rangers like 2D, 3D style fighting game, like a 2.5D, I guess, fighting game, which could be good, but I like with mobile developers coming over and trying stuff on just consoles, it's pretty cool to see them try that, but you never know how well it'll actually turn out. So at least it's $20, not like a full price $60 game or something. So it gives me a bit more confidence in trying it out. I mean, $20 is definitely not as bad as 60, obviously. So we'll see if it actually turns out good, because if it does, hey, it'd be pretty cool to have a straight up fighting game for Power Rangers. It kind of reminds me of the old fighting games for Power Rangers when we had, and then we could actually like fight in the Zords and everything. So we'll see how this one turns out. Coming out in April for $19.99. We also had some fun retro news. Now, you of course know the original Legend of Zelda. Maybe your first time trying it out was the NES Classic or even on the Switch NES Online games. Well, there's still obviously a full collector's market for the original cartridge on the Nintendo. And sometimes I wonder if when these things happen where they show up on the Switch or they have an NES Classic, if there's renewed interest in the original cartridges. Well, people keep those things sealed, as I'm sure some of you have guessed, and they even get them graded, and then they sell at auction. Well, we had the original Legend of Zelda game sealed, graded at a 9.4, actually sell for over $3,000. Sold for about $3,300 to be exact, which is insane, by the way. I mean, it's sealed. You're probably, I guess, buying it for the investment or to put it up in a room somewhere, but you're seeing kind of the site and picture here. It's actually done by Heritage Auctions, and several people bid on it and brought the price up to $3,300. It's a 9.4 or B+ sealed rating. The exact price was $3,360, which is crazy, but of course there is still a large market for those games. Other games like Excite Bike, just over $1,100 was claimed, and then they had others including Dragon Warrior, which was $660, and then several others. So yeah, the retro market's still doing pretty good, and I guess if you have a sealed copy of an NES game, get it graded, then throw it in an auction if you want a bunch of money, and then go buy a bunch of other games. Resident Evil 2 Remake is coming up pretty quick as well. And a lot of people have been wondering about the campaigns. I've seen some people wonder about the length of the campaigns. That is something I've been kind of thinking about as well. And after playing the demo, I am ready for this game. This is going to be amazing. It's coming out in the last week of this month alongside Kingdom Hearts 3 in that same week. So it's going to be kind of tough. I was trying to figure out if I was going to just try to beat Kingdom Hearts first, or if I was just going to do Resident Evil. Sounds like I'm going to do Resident Evil Remake first, Resident Evil 2 Remake, because we actually had an interview with Saudi Gamer, and they actually talked with the director and producer for Resident Evil 2 Remake, and they quoted saying that each campaign, there are 2 in total, is what they've said here in the interview, would be about 10 hours each. Of course, you either play as Leon or Claire. In the original, you had campaign A and B for each one, and this one, they said they've kind of streamlined it so you don't have to keep going back through either one. And that way you play as either character, 10 hours apiece. Not too bad considering people were beating Resident Evil 7 in anywhere from 8 to 10 hours, depending on how quick you're moving through it. So this on its own is as long as Resident Evil 7, and then you have a whole nother campaign, and then of course you have all the other stuff you can do when you play through it. You play it through as a piece of tofu and stuff, so a lot of stuff going on there. Sounds like it's going to be a good experience, and I'm ready. It's, a week or so away from now. It's going to be really cool. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're going to start with Mortal Kombat 11. Big reveal event. It was pretty cool. They had a 30-minute pre-show, and then the entire event was like less than 30 minutes, so the pre-show ended up being longer, I guess, than the main event. But anyway, the stuff they showed at the main event was pretty awesome. See, I always think about the fatalities, for example, and if they can keep getting more and more creative, and then they rip a guy's face off, and I go, well, okay, yeah, I guess they can. Although people's faces keep falling off in this game, so maybe, I don't know, maybe they're just not on right. But anyway, they showed a lot of stuff here, and it did live up to a lot of people's hopes and expectations, because it seems like they spent a lot of time with this game, and then they've also seemingly pulled from a lot of influence from Injustice 2 as well. So the reveal event kicked off, and we start seeing, of course, some of the classics show up. Sub-Zero is there, Sonya Blade. Then we also see, of course, Scorpion, Scarlet, who was a DLC character. I remember specifically when she came out for Mortal Kombat 9, and they also had a few other characters, including Garrus, who's new, appears to be, I guess, a time traveler, able to travel through time, and he can control sand and everything, which is cool. And then they also showed Baraka, Raiden. So they do have some of the classics there. They even teased Cabal at one point, which was awesome. He kind of ran by the logo. Yeah, it did appear to be Cabal, so it looks like he's coming back as well. But they said they'd reveal him, I guess, later on in the month. Said like January 30th or 31st, they'll be doing some more. The initial roster is 26, so we have 25 characters plus Shao Kahn, who appears to be, I guess, a pre-order bonus or something. It's weird about that, too. We'll look more into that as we go along in the coming weeks. Yeah, roster 26, and we didn't see that many characters. In fact, when they showed a character select screen, it was very small. So there is a lot to reveal here leading up to its reveal. 17 stages, and we saw some which were pretty cool. They even had stuff they were pulling out of the background, like a chainsaw and everything. Pretty awesome there. Multiple fatalities. They also kept pointing out Fatal Blow, which is an attack you get when you drop heavily in health. So if you get to that point, you got to make a comeback. That seems to be what that would be for, is to try to kind of even up the match if one side gets a big advantage and really starts beating on the other person. That way you can kind of turn things around, which looked cool. I really liked the gear system that they showed, where it looked like you were able to change out all these different weapons. They showed Scorpion having his katana changed, and his spear was changed. And then they did full costume changes there. It was pretty awesome. I was getting excited because it looked like there would be a lot of customization, which generally leads to a lot of things to unlock, which is great. I really like that in Mortal Kombat. They have a lot of stuff to unlock. That's just going to make the game last that much longer, so I'm excited. They showed hints, I guess, of the story mode. Now, of course, we talked about the rumor ahead of Mortal Kombat 11's reveal at the Game Awards, which we had talked about here previously before that happened, and they were correct about a lot of this. And the one thing they talked about was that it would be kind of like a Shaolin Monks style story mode where you play through. We got a very small glimpse, by the way, of Liu Kang next to Kung Lao, which would have set up like the Shaolin Monk setup, but of course that could have just been a cutscene that they were both just happened to be in, with I believe it was Raiden kind of in the foreground, so I was hoping we'd hear more about that. We just saw a story setting things up with Raiden and Shinnok and everything, so we're still have a ways to go there to figure out what's going on. Again, though, it seems like they're kind of tiering the reveals as we go along. I saw a lot of people curious about why the Switch version wasn't even really talked about. They didn't really talk about any of the versions. They didn't say, oh, the Xbox One X is like, full 4K, or they didn't really say anything about any system. They just showed the game off. And the Switch version was the one that had the most question marks right now, because people are still wondering, is this actually going to work well on the Switch? Because, of course, fighting game, you need the frames to be like perfect just about. You can't be dropping frames all over the place at all. So that means they can't do something like cut the frame rate in half to 30 or anything. So that's the big question mark. A lot of Steam requirements were out, finally, system requirements, and we're looking at like a GTX 670 or a GTX 1050 as a minimum system requirement there. So I'm still trying to see how this is going to look on the Switch and operate. But the other thing was, there are rumors going around currently about it actually not coming out with the other versions. Now, the odd thing about this is, so far from what we can tell, it seems to be kind of broken off by regions, as if you look at Amazon in the US, for example, or GameStop in the US, or Walmart, they all still have the same April 23rd release date as we'd expect with the other versions. However, if you start looking around at like Amazon UK, for example, or in Australia, they seem to have listing it at May 10th. So that's weird. Why would they be different from the US? And it seemed like Press Start in Australia was asking the same questions, and they reached out to a distributor that deals specifically with Warner Bros. And they also said that yes, it's actually being delayed, but that seemed to be specific to like Australia. We haven't heard anything about this in the US yet, and I'm sure people are asking around or taking a look. It's very possible that it could be delayed in places like the UK or Australia. Australia, actually, if it's going to be delayed anywhere for any reason, it would probably be Australia, as Mortal Kombat hasn't had a great history in Australia. It was outright banned when Mortal Kombat 9 came out, and then when Mortal Kombat 10 came out, they gave it like an R18 plus rating and everything, and that was the whole thing. So I don't know what's happening here. Again, the Switch version, shrouded in mystery for all we know at this point. We don't even know what they were playing it on technically there. We assume PCs that were set up with like max settings and everything just to make sure it looked great and it played great. But still, we'll have to see what happens with this Switch version. Again, it could be possible that it just gets delayed in other regions outside of the US. It's also possible that those listings on Amazon US, for example, and GameStop will be updated in the coming weeks and reflect a so many week delay or something. But we'll see going forward, and I'll keep you guys up to date on it. Next up, let's talk about this interesting strategy that Nvidia is currently using in China. Now, we already know that the Shield TV launched in China. We also know that several Nintendo Wii games have gone to it, including things like Twilight Princess, Mario Galaxy, and we're finding out that Nvidia has been developing, of course, a deep learning setup so that they can essentially upscale the visuals and the textures in the game. And according to them, they've been able to apply this to those Wii releases that they've put on the Nvidia Shield, and that has actually turned out to essentially make about 4,400 textures just basically look better. In fact, there are several different screenshots that you can actually take a look at here that are courtesy of Chinese Nintendo on Twitter. And starting at the top, you can actually see a distinct difference in texture quality from top to bottom. This is from, again, Twilight Princess. Some of the biggest ones, though, are when they start even throwing the Wii U in there, where you can see the Wii version to the Shield TV version with the deep learning to the Wii U version. It is a massive difference going from the regular to the deep learning system that they have set up to upscale the visuals. It has a much better effect than something like Nearest Neighbor for upscaling, as has been demonstrated already by Nvidia and others. And having something like this is pretty impressive. Now, this is of course Nvidia, and the Switch runs a Tegra X1, so a lot of people are starting to already put together the puzzle pieces and say, wait, what can we do this for the Switch? Can we move some of these Wii games over, get the better looking I would love to see Mario Galaxy have this done, because I feel like that game already looked amazing on the Wii. And now imagine if they used like the deep learning setup here to make it look that much better and upscale the textures and make it look better. That would be amazing. And here's the thing, apparently more games are coming to this setup here, so we probably will see that. And it'll be really cool when that happens and people share the images online, because this was actually very noticeable. And I would like to see Nintendo and Nvidia work together and do some of these moving over to the Switch. This is just a really cool thing to see for remasters, and that's kind of where it should probably work the best, and that's what I'd like to see. But hey, we'll see more images come out from China as this deep learning setup is applied to other Wii games on the Shield TV. And our last bit of news, let's talk about Fallout 76 and Bethesda banning people who have entered that secret room. Very quickly, the secret room was discovered. It was entered through means outside of the game. In fact, Bethesda has actually made a statement on that we'll talk about. And at that time, people entered it, realized there was an NPC in there for some reason, because there aren't supposed to be NPCs in the game. And then they also realized that every single weapon and item and armor was also in that room, along with ones that have not yet been released. So of course, they start just taking everything and selling it and trading it outside of the game. Of course, message boards. People are getting banned from message boards and auction sites. It was a whole thing. And now Bethesda has actually gone out and started to temporarily ban, at least for now, people who have at least just entered that room, especially people who have removed items. And I know this was annoying people because I saw it online, of course, and trust me, I get it. Fallout 76, that's been a train wreck. Yeah, it's like the easiest thing in the world to criticize that game, and yeah, you probably should, because the game shouldn't even be out right now. It was rushed. It probably should have released this holiday in 2019, but they pushed it out the door in 2018, and this room being left in there is just more proof that they shouldn't have come out. Why would an online game have a room in it that has all of this stuff in it? Obviously it was used for developer testing, and then they leave it in there for client side for people to just access. No sense at all is made there. However, it seems like they've been moving the room around, or just take it out of there. I don't know what you're doing. People are still able to access it though. And Bethesda put out a statement saying that it was a third-party application. So third-party means essentially to hack into the game, essentially use a cheat device to get into the room. At that point, technically, yeah, you are breaking the terms of service. So, I mean, most online games will ban you, they should anyway, for cheating. I mean, think about Splatoon 2. People are begging Nintendo to put an anti-cheat system in to ban people. And this is basically Bethesda banning people for accessing the room that you wouldn't be able to access otherwise. Not like you're just like running through the game and all of a sudden you fall into a room, or you work yourself through like a mountain or something, or glitch your way in. They're literally using different devices or programs outside of the game to break into that room. So I at least understand that. They said if you do get banned, contact support and they'll work to get you unbanned and everything, but I guess you'll have to talk to somebody about that. Anyway, that's Fallout 76, now banning people, of course, for accessing the room. Let me know what you think about that secret room, because I think it's just the dumbest thing that's even in there, and it seems like they're never, ever going to make this game look like a functional game to customers at all. And now they're just banning people because they left a room in there, and people, of course, are going to access it, but it's Fallout 76. What can you do? And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It does help out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today. Whether it is Mortal Kombat 11, are you as excited as I am? Because I'm ready for Mortal Kombat 11. It looks awesome. And let me know what you think, of course, about them remastering older Wii games with deep learning for Nvidia. Do you think that's something that they should work to bring over to the Switch and just start grabbing all kinds of awesome Wii games and moving them over? Let me know what you think about that, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.